Hello co-spoilers. Welcome back to another thrilling episode as we dive into the captivating world of movies. Together, we'll uncover new cinematic gems and indulge in the guilty pleasure of wasting our time on things that truly don't matter.
The movie begins in a small enclosure with many young raccoons. As they are happily playing together, a scary person named the High Evolutionary, Chukwudi Iwuji, comes near the cage. Wait, let me try and give you a little taste of what kind of jokes they have. Let me show you.
Push it down.
I am pushing down on it.
Push the button.
Sit up.
That's what it's here for.
Okay, something like that. Now we go back to the movie with a much clearer view on how comedy is good with the movie. He extends his hand towards one of the raccoons, specifically Rocket. Currently, the Guardians of the Galaxy, including Peter Quill/Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, Nebula, Mantis, Kraglin, and Cosmo the Space Dog, are hiding in nowhere and made it their main base. Peter is really sad about Gamera's death and has been drinking a lot to make himself pass out. Nebula has to help him get to his room because he can't walk on his own. At the same time, Kraglin and Cosmo are competing with each other to see who has stronger telekinetic powers. Kraglin is trying really hard to learn how to use Yondu's arrow with his fin, but he hasn't fully figured it out yet. Adam Warlock, a being from outer space, made by Aisha, the leader of a group called the Sovereign, flies really fast to a place called Nowhere and crashes into Rocket. The Guardians quickly start fighting. Then Adam removes Groot's head from his body. Don't worry, Groot is fine, and focuses on attacking Rocket directly. Peter and Mantis try to assist Rocket after he has been seriously injured by Adam, while Drax tries to fight the Golden Man. Before Adam can kill Drax, Nebula stabs him with one of her sharp weapons. Peter is trying to help Rocket by using a med pack, but it's not working. In fact, it almost causes Rocket's death. However, Nebula steps in and tells them to remove it from him. Adam runs away while Nowhere is destroyed. While the Guardians take Rocket to a safe place, he suddenly remembers the time when he was being tested on by the High Evolutionary. He was given the name 89P13 and placed in a cage with 3 other animals used for tests: a mechanical armed otter, a walrus with wheels instead of legs, and a rabbit with other mechanical parts. They become friends with the scared Rocket and make him feel less lonely. The Guardians discover that Rocket has a dangerous device inside him that can explode if they try to operate on him. They also realize that Adam was sent to bring Rocket back. Nebula discovers a special key that can deactivate the kill switch, but the only way to obtain it is by involving Orgacorp, the company that conducted experiments on him. Peter quickly leads the Guardians, excluding Kraglin and Cosmo, to go and rescue his friends. At the irate lab on Counter-Earth, the High Evolutionary has a meeting with Aisha and Adam. They are both employees of his, and he is also the one who made the Sovereign, along with other races and species in the galaxy. He asked Adam to bring back Rocket because Rocket is very important to High Evolutionary. When someone tries to hurt Adam because he didn't bring back the Rocket, Aisha begs them to stop, because she cares about Adam like he is her own child. The High Evolutionary tells his assistant Theo that he knows where the Guardians are going. The Guardians have reached the place called the Orgascope, which is where the headquarters of Orgacorp would be located. As they get ready to break the shield, Peter and Mantis talk about how Peter has not been back to Earth since the Ravagers took him. Peter mentions that the only person he would recognize is his grandfather, but he isn't sure if his grandfather is still alive. Shortly after, the Guardian's ship is attacked and taken over by a group of Ravagers, led by Stakar Ogord, played by Sylvester Stallone. The other Gamora has joined them, and she has been secretly talking to Nebula. Peter is surprised to see Gamora, even though this version doesn't know the other Guardians. Stakar gives the Guardians special clothes for space and tells them to be careful of orgocentries as they look for information about Rocket in the company's files. In another memory, it was revealed that Rocket was very smart. Which is why High Evolutionary likes having him around. He also saw the creation of Counter-Earth, where High Evolutionary was sending his finished experiments. He showed Rocket a machine where he tried to make certain animals become more advanced. But he hadn't made it work well enough, so the animals only became mindless monsters. He would get rid of them if they failed. High Evolutionary was surprised because Rocket appeared to have solved the problem with the proteins in the organisms they were using. The Guardians go down to the orgoscope, and Peter tries to have a sincere talk with Gamora. However, she rejects him because she is not the same person he knew and loved before. They hide their space outfits in a secret place before being discovered by a group of guards, led by Master Karja, Nathan Fillion. However, the Guardians pretend to be busy at the location. Peter goes with Gamora and Nebula while Drax and Mantis go together. The first three people meet an Argo worker named Yura and make her show them where the records are. When the Orgocentries find Rocket's file, they start chasing the Guardians. Their protective suits get pulled into outer space because they stored them in the incorrect location, but Drax and Mantis try to defend themselves against the guards. Karja fires her weapon, successfully hitting both Drax and Nebula, causing them to become weaker. Peter convinces Yura to assist them. Yura permits him to use their systems to turn off the pretend gravity. This will help them to escape from the Orgocentries and go back to their own spaceship. In a different memory, Rocket is shown with his animal pals as they imagine what it would be like to be independent and not controlled by anyone. Here, they decide what to call themselves. The otter decides to call herself Lilla, the walrus decides to call himself Teefs, and the rabbit decides to call herself Floor. Then, Rocket chooses his own name after seeing a rocket flying over Counter-Earth. The Guardians watch a video about Rocket and see the terrible things that High Evolutionary did to him. The passkey is not present in the file. Instead, it is stored in Theal's memory inside a device in his head. When Peter wants to go look for Theal, Gamora disagrees with the idea until Nebula says that Rocket is still part of their family. The Orgocentries talked to Aisha and Adam while they were bringing in a Ravager they had caught along with their pet, which they named Blurp later. Aisha wants Adam to question the Ravager to find out about the Guardians. But instead, Adam accidentally uses his powers to kill the Ravager, making Aisha very upset. Shortly after, she listens as Gamora uses a radio to contact the Ravager. Gamora shares the location where they can be picked up, without realizing that Aisha is now aware of their destination. Meanwhile, Adam starts to like Blurp a bit. In the past, the High Evolutionary brought Rocket to see his new experiments. The High Evolutionary listened to Rocket's ideas about proteins in animals and used them to make his creatures even better. High Evolutionary talks to Rocket in a mean way, making him feel like he was a failed experiment with lots of mistakes. Then, he tells the improved creatures to be burned. The Guardians reach a new planet called Counter-Earth. This planet has lots of suburban areas that are similar to the neighborhoods Peter was familiar with. The neighborhoods are home to creatures that look like animals but are similar to humans in shape. When they arrive, Drax does something rude by throwing a ball at a child's head, and the other people start throwing trash at the Guardians. Then Groot becomes very big to frighten them and make them go away. Peter helps a lady who can turn into a bat. She invites Peter and his friends to stay in her house. In her house, they assist the Guardians in locating High Evolutionary Station to find Theal. The lady's family allows Peter to use their car along with Nebula and Groot. They come, and High Evolutionary's guards take Peter inside. Guardians of the Galaxy has lots of humor drops. We mean everything. They will drop something without giving us a hint and everyone would go crazy. We experienced this in a cinema. I would probably tell you that everyone in there also has the same vibe and humor as per everyone, as once the joke drops everyone laughs like a fake audience in a stand-up comedy skits or like a video with fake audience laugh. Something like that. That is something surreal as a comic Marvel movie would go. We didn't even feel this in One Piece film, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made us feel that everyone is actually watching the same skit. Part of it once gave us a very comedic slide. In a final memory, Rocket stole a gadget that helped him and his friend break out of their prison cells. After he and Lilla hugged each other, the High Evolutionary shot Lilla and caused her serious harm as a punishment for trying to run away. The Rocket cried loudly and aggressively attacked High Evolutionary by scratching and damaging his face. When two of Rocket's helpers arrived, Rocket killed them. However, they had also shot Teefs and Floor, and they both died. The Rocket got away all by itself and felt very sad about its friends not being there anymore. On Counter-Earth, War Pig, who works for High Evolutionary, goes to the Guardian spaceship to fight against Gamora and Rocket. Adam finds War Pig while she tries to bring Rocket along. And he brutally kills her by tearing her head off. Peter meets a person called High Evolutionary and talks to him about the things he has done. High Evolutionary then says he is going to destroy the planet and make everything new again. Another planet called Counter-Earth is starting to break apart, and all the people living there are being harmed. Adam attempts to return to Aisha, but unfortunately witnesses her spaceship exploding. Peter and Groot battle some bad guys who work for High Evolutionary. They then jump out of a window with Thiel. Groot makes wings so they can stay in the air while he gets rid of Thiel and takes his memory. The other Guardians return to their ship while the planet is still exploding nearby. In the confusion, Mantis, Drax, and Nebula accidentally go on High Evolutionary's ship, while Peter and Groot safely return to their ship with Rocket and Gamora. Nebula is angry with Drax because she thinks he is responsible for the situation they are in. However, Mantis defends Drax, even though she knows he often does foolish things that cause problems for them. Peter, Gamora, and Groot hurriedly try to use the passkey to rescue Rocket. He sees that he is in a bright place and Lilla, Teefs, and Floor are there to greet him, like they are welcoming him to life after death. The Rocket appears ready to join his friends, but Lilla says there is still something important for him to do in his life. They both kiss before Rocket finally wakes up and hugs his friends. Then, Nebula, Drax, and Mantis found many children who were captured by High Evolutionary for experiments. They told the others about it. They hear Rocket talking on the radio and are extremely happy to find out that he is alive. Unfortunately, the High Evolutionary captures them and tells the other Guardians of their capture. Peter is showing them how to save their friends and he asks Kraglin for assistance. Drax can help the captured children feel calmer because he can speak the same language as them. He also knows how to make them laugh by acting silly, just like he did with his own daughter. He, along with Mantis and Nebula, are placed in a room with 3 obelisks. However, Mantis is able to use her abilities to convince the obelisks to join them and aid in the fight. Kraglin and Cosmo are helping move Nowhere towards the ship, but the enemy forces of High Evolutionary start to attack. Kraglin has a vision of Yondu telling him to use his heart to make the arrow fly. It works when Kraglin destroys the enemy robots. Meanwhile, Cosmo uses her power to stop a bad guy from attacking them. The helpers of the High Evolutionary try to rebel, but he uses his abilities to turn them into vapor. After the Guardians come together again, they are joined by Adam and Blurp. Together, they join forces and completely destroy High Evolutionary's army. Cosmo uses her special abilities to bring the ship closer to Nowhere. This will help the Guardians to save the captured children and bring them to a safe place. Before Rocket goes away, he discovers a group of baby raccoons and some other animals. He starts attempting to set them free. The High Evolutionary finds him and nearly kills him, saying again that he is just a failed experiment. However, Rocket reminds him of his true identity. Afterwards, the rest of the Guardians team arrives and starts beating up High Evolutionary, who deserved it. Then, Nebula removes his face, showing the terrible damage that Rocket had caused to him. Rocket decides not to kill the High Evolutionary, but instead they let him perish as his spaceship starts to explode. Rocket helps the other animals escape, but Cosmo loses his powers before Peter can reach nowhere. He almost dies from extreme cold while in space until Adam helps him by flying him to nowhere for safety. The Guardians gather together one final time on Nowhere. Gamora will keep working with the Ravagers, while Peter wants to go back to Earth. Mantis says she wants to go by herself to figure out what she wants to do. Drax offers to go with her, but Mantis says she wants to do it by herself. Nebula thinks Drax is better at taking care of the kids because he's always wanted to be a dad, so she will be in charge of Nowhere. Peter gives his leadership position to Rocket so that Rocket can lead the next group of Guardians. Before Gamora goes away, Peter admits that they won't be a couple, but there is some hint of liking and teasing between them. He comes back to Earth and finally meets up with his grandfather Jason. After the Guardians go their separate ways, Rocket receives Peter's Zune and starts playing the song "Dog Days Are Over" for everyone in Nowhere to hear. This makes them all start dancing. In the middle of the credits, Rocket and Groot are in charge of a new group. They have Kraglin, Cosmo, Adam, Blurp, and a child without parents named Phyla, Kai Zen, on their team. Rocket takes charge and leads a group of enemies towards their next adventure while playing "Come and Get Your Love."
Thanks for watching our video. As we wrap things up, we want to say a big thank you for being a part of our awesome community. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our future adventures. We appreciate all the likes, comments, and support you've given us. It's because of viewers like you that we're able to keep creating great content. So stay tuned for more exciting videos coming your way. Remember, you're the reason we do what we do. Without you, our channel wouldn't be the same. So, until next time, take care, stay awesome, and keep spreading the positivity. See you soon.